Holy shit, y'all, this movie is outstanding. And I'm gonna be honest, I was very worried because with a name like Bone Tomahawk and a basic description of cowboys fighting cannibals, I was very worried as to who was portraying the cannibals. But it's not what we think. Let me explain. This is the 2015 film that Netflix describes as a Western horror comedy starring Kurt Russell, Patrick Wilson, and Richard Jenkins. You know, Overboard's Kurt Russell, The Conjuring's Patrick Wilson, and Step Brothers' Richard Jenkins. Okay, so Kurt Russell's the sheriff, Richard Jenkins is the deputy, Patrick Wilson lived in the town of Bright Hope, and he's married to this lady that's basically a doctor, who's played by Lily Simmons. I wasn't super impressed with her. I feel like we could have had one big name for the wife. But whatever, so this drifter came into town and he was all suspicious and shit, so the sheriff and the deputy went into the bar and he got all aggressive and they shot him in the leg and put him in the jail. Then they had to go to Patrick Wilson's house and get his wife, who's basically the doctor lady, for her to go extract the bullet out of his leg. And it's kind of late at night, so she told Patrick Wilson, who's laid up in bed with a broken leg, not to wait up for her. Well, he wakes up in the morning and she's gone. Anybody in the jail is gone. And a stable hand was basically slaughtered in the barn. Also, I think the horses were gone. So Kurt Russell and Richard Jenkins and Patrick Wilson and Matthew Fox, who plays like this playboy douchebag, all team up to go find her. Now here's where it gets a little hairy. And also, please remember, this movie is set in 1861, so the words they use to reference indigenous tribes is not used now. But in 1860 something or another, it was after 1861 because this was after the war, that is the term they used then. But they thought at the very beginning the people that were involved in the kidnappings were of indigenous tribes. And then the professor, who was indigenous himself, is like, no, this has nothing to do with this. This is a family of inbred cannibals that live in a cave. They've been fucking each other and eating people for years. We call them troglodytes. And they're like, okay, let's get into it. So we're traveling across the valley, prairie, desert thing for a while. It's going okay. They're on horseback until their horses got stolen. Then they had to walk it, but Patrick Wilson again has a broken leg and it's taken him a really long time, and then he hurts it again. They set his leg and then they have to leave him behind. And then they make it to the cave dwelling thing, to which it's called Bone Tomahawk because they're using what I think are horse mandibles as like a club to hit people with. And you know, bone is strong as shit and this thing just whacks. It looks like an infomercial for one of those knives that you never have to sharpen and it cuts through like a soda can and shit. But anyways, Matthew Fox is taken out, and then Kurt Russell and Richard Jenkins are taken and put in their little jail cell thingy, to which on the other side is another jail cell where the wife is and the other guy that was in the jail. Now, the drifter was already eaten, but come to find out he was actually going around killing people, so they're like, yeah, he kind of deserved it. Well, then the troglodytes come in, and they pull out the other guy that was in the jail. I can't remember his name for the life of me. And heed my warning, this is gonna get fucking graphic. Like, legit graphic. Like Terrifier graphic. They scalp him. They shove his scalp into his mouth and then push like a bone thing through it. So I guess he's like incapacitated. And they spread eagled him right betwixt the cheeks all the way down. And they ate him. A-T-E, ate. So at this point, they're all aware as to what's going to happen to them eventually. And we know there's at least 12 males in the group, whatever you want to call. And there's 2 women, but the women have been crippled and blinded, and they're both pregnant, so they're not even like a thing of concern. And you actually kind of see that at the end. It's really fucked up. But Patrick Wilson wakes up because they knocked his ass out to set his bone, because if he wasn't dead, he's gonna wish he was. But now he is limping across the desert valley thing to get to the area where his wife is and where the sheriff is, to the point he was crawling. This man with a bad leg walked and crawled across the prairie desert valley thing to get to his wife. I'm not saying that has to be an absolute, I'm just saying stop settling. Moving forward. So the deputy actually had a flask that had some whiskey and it still had some of that tincture of opium in it. And they're like, hey, that's enough. We could probably kill all 3 of these guard guys in here. So they managed to kill one, and the other two got mad, so they pulled out the sheriff, and they, like, ripped him open and shoved the flask inside, and then he got shot. But then Patrick Wilson comes out of nowhere and is able to kill them both, meaning there are 3 males left, and the sheriff is dying, and he's like, leave me my gun, and y'all get the hell out of here. Richard Jenkins and Patrick Wilson and the wife are getting the fuck out of Dodge. Then they hear 3 gunshots, which is the sheriff taking the other 3 out, and now they're safe. The end. Now, did I like it? Here's the thing. Number one, it's 2 hours long. Actually, it's a little over 2 hours. I think it's like 2 hours and 10 minutes. And it takes at least an hour, actually probably over an hour, to even get to the cannibals. So typically, that would be too much for me. I would get very bored. I would give this a very low score. And in other circumstances, I have given movies a low score for that sort of thing. However, the script is so damn good, I didn't care how long it took for them to get to the cannibals. The writing is just phenomenal. Number 2, some of the settings, especially the one with like the little prison thing where the cannibals live, looks goofy as shit. It does in fact look very, very fake. And you can tell when they use the night lens or the night vision lens or whatever you want to call it on the camera, so it looks like nighttime. But I think that's on purpose to give it that very 70s Western feel, which makes it a damn shame they didn't put this on film. Like, it's shot in digital, but honestly, it needs to be film. So yes, I do love this film, and I really hope there's a book to it. No idea, but I'm gonna look. This is a solid 10 out of 10 for me. And I think if you like The Hateful Eight, maybe even The Green Inferno, maybe, you'll probably like this. So 10 out of 10. Okay, bye. Home on the range, where the deer and the cannibals play.